Um, so what I realized with my friend Bob, I'm going to go over this with him. See, he didn't want to get into the uh, the fish bladder and the gills and the lungs and homology and analogy. He was greatly resistant right at the beginning. I mean, right from the get-go, boom. And I think this is why the guy is so successful in life. Those quick responses, quick responses. Most of the time when people are like this, going all the time, it pretty much rolls over everybody. They just bowl right over most people. And if they have a decent attitude and a clarity of mind, then it's relatively harmless, and people end up following them, and it can bring great success in the world. But I also think that it hints at, well, he's talking about intelligent design. My friend is talking about intelligent design, and he gave me that book that day, and when I told him about this form and function, and the difference between form and function and homology and analogy, when this happened, he shut me down really quickly, and he's done this multiple times, and I find this very interesting. Being that it has to do with the judicial system, and that the judicial system is related to attorneys, he's not an attorney. But the form and the function of an argument, often, the majority of arguments can be won just by baffling people with bullshit, just rolling over them like a steamroller, and with all this information or attitude, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So I found it very interesting when he shut me down really quickly, and I think it's because, I think some people do not, they only want to know as much as what profits them. And, it's that saying, call duck a duck, or if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. And when you're dealing with somebody who's relatively successful in the world, one of the first things that makes a person successful in the world is that they have proper evaluations of others. But this often causes a tremendous amount of evaluations. So we judge. There's a lot of judging going on, okay? And they automatically put them into a hierarchy. When it comes to success in a competitive world, there's a hierarchy of winner-loser, this kind of thing. And so I'm just dealing with this. I'm just, it's fine. It's not like I'm overly invested in this guy, though I have informed him that I can be over invested in him, and that I'm conscious of this. You see, being made aware of your evaluations enables you to do something about them. Being run by your evaluations, possessed by them, leaves you as a type of automaton or puppet to the evaluations one makes. And this can seem rather spontaneous and vigorous and vitalistic, very vital and thriving. However, on another level, it's very, very unconscious, being that you're just snapping, just going, valuation, 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 valuation. So I want to research this. I want to elaborate it. I want to talk to him about it, but I'm not sure that he will want to change his own definitions. That I think he may be highly invested in his definitions of the terms and phrases, and he doesn't want to see a different way of perceiving a term or phrase, because he's invested in the definition, because the definition gets him the outcome he wants. And ultimately, for me, this is all a study for myself. I have relationships that I want to work that are highly challenged at this point. not with him necessarily, but he's the relationship I have, so I'm invested in him at this point. But there are love relationships that I would like to grow and develop with, and I think through this dialogue and experience with him, I am learning how to better roll with how the relationship is growing. And it stems from control, wanting to control a thing. You can't control a thing. I was telling a friend, you can't know a thing unless you understand its whole life cycle. Because if you understand its whole life cycle, then you see its its values, each point of its growth process. Because these values are informing its behavior. Now, it's not about control for me, but this control issue is something that has been brought up by the women in my life. They think that I need to control. But I come to realize that it's not that I need to control, it's that they are concerned about not being able to control me. And so rather than admit it themselves, they project it onto me and say, I've got the control issue. When ultimately what it is I understand them well enough to the point of which they feel vulnerable. And vulnerability, they're not so comfortable with at their particular stage. It depends on the woman, it depends on the relationship, what we're invested in. There's many different, aspects of my relationships. But this one main deal is that there's this dichotomy where they want to be known, they want to have this depth relationship, but on the flip side is that once they feel they're in relationship, then they try to control it and they try to make it what they want it to be, which is fine. I understand that. If it's pleasing, it's pleasing. If it's beneficial, it's beneficial. Call a duck. That's fine. However, if they don't know what they're doing, if they're possessed by these motivations and they're not aware that they are, these accusations placed upon me, these characteristics that are demanded of me to try to fulfill their perspective can not be very productive.